Good afternoon. Am I loud and audible?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
A very good afternoon to one and all. I, Ms. Meera Sehgal, on behalf of ICCE, welcome all teaching, non-teaching, and students to this webinar on how to create a space to promote the reporting to ICC in colleges. We acknowledge the support, encouragement, and appreciation for the cause and concern towards women of society. We acknowledge the President, Professor Ramchandra Reddy, AVES, Dr. Prakash Reddy, Secretary, and correspondent, Dr. K. Gautami, to help us to conduct this session. The sexual harassment of women in the workplace, Prevention, Prohibition, and Redressal Act 2013 has developed a grievance procedure in the form of a grievance redressal forum called ICC. As of now, AV College has zero tolerance policy against discrimination and sexual harassment. An act of sexual harassment is a punishable offense. In terms of sexual harassment of women at workplace, Prevention, Harassment and Redressal Act 2013, with a view to provide protection against discrimination and sexual harassment of women at workplace and for the prevention and redressal of complaints of harassment and for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto, the Internal Complaints Committee has been constituted in AV College. I take the opportunity to introduce Dr. Suhasini, D. Suhasini, ICC convener and head of department computer science. And I also take my privilege that she introduces the resource person to the forum.
Thank you, Meera ma'am. Here I welcome our speaker in our midst. We welcome you, madam. Ms. Neha Swani, co-founder and director partnerships Rubaru, who works for social upliftment of adolescents, youth, and stakeholders for the last 10 years. She is a trained social scientist who did masters in social work from Delhi School of Social Work. She conducted various programs to impart impactful training, capacity building, and extensively worked on the mid gender, interfaith, and youth development. She authored curriculums and books on various social subjects with emphasis on life social skills and on social evils like child marriages. She has extensive work experience in diverse organizations like PACS, UNFPA, UNICEP, Aga Khan Academy, with focus on leadership developments and youth engagements. She co founded the NGO Rubaru, through which she worked relentlessly on women upliftment, child development, gender bias, child marriages. Once again, I thank you, ma'am, for accepting our invitation. And now we welcome you to initiate the session with valuable information and suggestions with our students and faculties. Over to Madam. Ma'am, Neha ma'am.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Now you can start the session, ma'am.
Okay. I want to share my screen.
Yes, ma'am, you can.
Okay.
Now you are co-host, ma'am. You can share the screen. Now, yes, ma'am, it is visible.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So, good afternoon to one and all, and I really thank Sharda ma'am and AV College for reaching out to us and trusting Rubero to be part of the ICC and also to support today in understanding that how do we create a safe space to support filing of complaints to ICC. Um, as properly introduced, that we need to understand. What are the different components of safety, what does it mean to have a gender safe institution or a space where everybody in the institution feels that it is my own space, I am feeling safe and I feel protected, and it helps in fulfilling the objectives of why the institution is in place. And Any kind of harassment, any kind of struggle, any kind of unsafe measures will not help us achieve the goals of achieving the objectives to the organization. So yes, so I think that brings into the first one dilemma which I wanted to understand and share is that the dilemma is that do we create a safe space so that the ICC does not get any complaint, or to create a safe space so that one is able to approach ICC to raise a complaint, and how does it happen? So I would like to talk about the first thing is about how do we create safe spaces? What does it mean that nobody, that everyone from all gender, and when I say gender, it means female, male, someone who belongs to a third gender or identifies themselves as a third gender, how do they feel safe in a community, and how do we understand that I am not feeling threatened here because of the gender identity I belong to. And before we get into that also, I think would just want to establish that there are components of um, sex, gender, and sexuality, which everybody needs to understand. That sex is the biological features which differentiates human beings, based on the reproductive organs. But gender is what socially we all identify to, depending on the length of my hair, depending on how much, what should I wear, how should I behave, how should I talk, what should I do, what are the tasks, and how we have slowly identified people and kept it in that box. The moment a child takes birth, and how the things we start associating with them, the toys we give them, the kind of clothes we give them, and then slowly the games they play, the kind of information which we give them, and that slowly starts our gender journey in our life. And that's how a lot of norms, lot of social understanding also starts happening into when girls, or when they turn into their puberty stage, when the notion of safety starts coming in, that what is safe and not safe. And the idea of safety is also very socially driven, about how we associate women's safety to the timing, how we associate places, and what a girl can do or not do associated with safety. There are so many girls who are not allowed to complete their education or pursue because the family feels it might not be safe, and because they have to travel. When we talk about diverse section, when it comes to rural areas or interior parts, or because if a place does not have certain opportunity and they need to go somewhere else, it is discontinued because of the safety notion. or you are always having somebody to accompany you because of the fear of safety, and we keep guarding it so much that it starts impacting the kind of aspiration also a girl, one particular gender can uh, have or dream of, because safety becomes such a big concern for the family. So, how do we create a safe space in this? Um, is there anyone? Can this be an interactive thing? Can there be any people who can share some thoughts?
Ma'am, no, ma'am, it is not an interaction section.
Okay, so
Okay.
just want to know that.
Right.
Okay, yeah. So to create a safe space, so that is the first component of it. That how do we create safety? And is it really possible that institution or any place where people are working together, where lots of young people are coming together, will it be safe? Um, and that brings us to how Rubru or organizations like us work when we completely work on gender sensitization, or what is safe, what is not safe, of safe touch, what is the way of expressing emotions in the right way, what are certain cultural biases that we have when we work with someone from the opposite gender, or even if the same gender. People from the same gender can also feel threatened by people of the same gender, and not necessarily always the opposite gender, because a lot of young people are exploring their sexuality during the age when they are in colleges. They are trying to understand of whom do I get attracted to, or whom I do not get attracted to. um, and that's how a lot of exploration begins. And uh, and that's something which we need to slowly understand, and that's where Rubru or organizations we work on completely, and we working with young people on gender sensitization, on understanding their own self, their own gender journey, what are certain information which we have been given about our own gender, and it becomes important to decode it. Secondly, we also try working on understanding body, the changes it happens, and what are certain emotions which are going across in my mind during this phase or during any phase of our life, which is important. And again, the third important component, which becomes very important, is what are certain right ways of working with people when we are working together. How do we approach? What are certain ways of not showing aggressive behavior, but how do we really build safe relationships? Because there are a lot of times we work on interpersonal violence when people are in relationships, when they get violated, and we assume that a relationship will have some kind of violence, and we do not understand it. The second dilemma is that how do I create a safe space so that I'm able to approach? In that, the struggle is that okay, there might be sexual harassments happening, but still I have created a safe space that if something like this happens, how do people approach me, and how do people raise complaint or everything. So this brings to a very important thing. When in 2015 the UGC regulation stated that Indian colleges and university need to have an internal complaints committee that will conduct inquiries into sexual harassment complaints from students, faculty, and non-teaching staff, which is very important. Now, it involves all stakeholders, and it includes that you do not need to go anywhere else. The college itself establishes an internal complaints committee. The very foundation that a college has set up an internal complaints committee means it is ensuring that every gender feels safe. Now, having said that, just having an internal complaints committee does not really mean that everybody will be able to access it. Um, And why? Because as that's what I wanted to talk about today. When we talk about sexual harassment, what is sexual harassment? Sexual harassment has been defined as sexual harassment of women at workplace, Prevention, Prohibition, and Redressal Act of 2013, and includes anyone or more unwelcome acts or behavior. Now, the first one is physical contact and advances. If somebody makes you or touches you in such a way that you do not feel comfortable, and it can be as simple as keeping touching somebody or holding somebody's hand you do not want, or pulling somebody's cheeks because you don't like it, right? We have always grown up seeing, and in India especially, we just randomly touch somebody's child's cheeks, saying that, oh, you're so cute. But if you go abroad, for example, we cannot do that to anybody's child, and it can raise a complaint. That might suddenly feel, oh, the society, they are so cold, or why are they so biased, why are they not, it's such a common gesture. But no, touching anybody's else, any body part, reproductive, non-reproductive parts, can be and should not be ever without permission or without consent. So, and it does not mean, oh, I touch somebody, that, oh, have I sexually harassed them. So it's always important at this point to understand that before you touch somebody, before you give a pat on the back, or before you need, if somebody is crying, even holding that person, or you want to give a hug or something, we need to ask, are you comfortable um, if I hold your hand, or if you, are you comfortable if I can do this? And most of the time, the other person needs to say a yes or no, and that will help us to understand which physical contact or which advances are right or safe, or unsafe for that person. The second is the one sec. The second one is a demand or request for sexual favors. Now, definitely in this, if somebody has demanded for sexual favor, or had or asked somebody, one second. So in this, it becomes, hello. Somebody needs to, yeah. So the
Hello, ma'am.
second, yeah, I think somebody needs to
Hello.
hello.
Yes, ma'am. We are hearing you.
Okay, yeah, there was some disturbance.
Hello.
Yeah.
Is it clear, ma'am?
Yes. The
From our
second,
side, it is clear.
okay, okay. So the second thing is demand or request for sexual favors. Now, this is a very direct kind of offense where, if somebody has asked a sexual favor in because of uh, certain tasks to be done, like, okay, I will do certain things if you do this with me, or if something like this has happened, asking work to be done in because of sexual favors attached. And such kind of things at times can be very threatening. If there is a power hierarchy, or there is a change, or there is a change in the authority, if someone senior has asked a junior, or and at times this comes with a lot of power dynamics, because if the person who has asked is more powerful, either age wise, seniority wise, designation wise, um, it becomes quite difficult and threatening in order to totally say no, or to get scared, because you do not know what will happen if if my answer is no. So these are certain things. Becomes like, go out, let's go, at least go on a date with me, or let's go out, or can we go for a movie, then I will do this or help. And one is building a relationship, but one is that in a professional space, what are certain things which is not right to do, and which is right to do, and how do you approach certain things in certain way. And it again comes down to, if the other person does not find it to be um, safe, they have the right to raise a complaint about it. Making sexually colored remarks, is about, if someone has worn something, and making them feel uncomfortable with your comments, or making them give describing physical features or body features or something like that, which makes another person feel uncomfortable. It's important. Now again, all these things are thin line, because you might feel, oh, I not compliment my colleague, or can I not compliment my friend, or senior or junior. But I think it complimenting or making remarks which are sexual in nature, which will make the other person feel uncomfortable, and the intention is not uh, to make them feel fine, is a thin line. A lot of these things, which is very interesting to understand, is that has been colored by Hollywood and Bollywood and our regional movies, about what is funny, what is not funny, what is nice, or this is what how they like, and those are such thin lines that a lot of times we do not understand um, the thin lines of what is acceptable and not, because of how our media has cultured us, how our songs, a very famous song which was there by Govinda, Lal Dupatte Wali, Tera Naam To Bata, we might have danced to all those songs, or how it happens. But then it becomes interesting that um, such kind of things, and we see also people dancing to it, girls feeling happy about it, boys feeling happy about it, but we do not know that certain kind of songs which has colored our perception that it's okay if I do certain things. So breaking down, if we go into understanding, decoding gender, decoding um, harassment is a big part plays in how what we have seen in Bollywood, and that. The fourth one, which is quite this thing, is showing pornography forcibly, sending nudes, sending without your nude picture to somebody, or to showing, or if somebody, a lot of times what happens during changing rooms or somewhere, some access to a wrong photograph or a personal photograph has been leaked, and somebody is threatened because of those photographs, saying that if you do not do certain thing, uh, we'll make it viral. Now because of social media and the way a certain thing can become viral, if somebody is um, doing something, keeping that is again another a very big sexual harassment in that. And then any other physical, verbal, non-verbal, which is of sexual conduct, is difficult or is punishable under this act. And yeah, so this would include again, with us all going online, I think the need for online, or how this workshop is also happening online, through internet, SMS, social networking sites, or anything. Now these all are under sexual harassments, sending, commenting something which is not nice, or commenting on somebody's WhatsApp DP, the moment it changes, oh, this is nice. Some, or messaging on prompting. Now when we are working and with WhatsApp and social media and everything, what is the time in which we are messaging each other? If we tend to message somebody very late in nights expecting them to respond, asking somebody unrealistic timelines to respond, and you're constantly doing that in order to spend time with the other person, it also starts dealing into some kind of harassment which might have sexual intention in it, or from the opposite gender, which we might not be even realizing, which is there. So how do we look into the kind of timings of approaching people and all? And then the another thing is the promises which we might have. Okay, if you come on a date with me, or if you do this, uh, I will help you get promotion, or I will help you get more marks, or I will find out the answer papers, or I will, give some extra credits or marks, or I will get this for you. So those are certain things when there are promises which is there, and something, there are threats which are detrimental in nature, like, if you do not do this, I will make you fail, or if you do not do this, I will leak this information about you, which they would have shared with you with full trust. So either for preferential treatment, or doing something which will say that. Now, implied or explicit threat about present or future employment status. Now, this also becomes important when, because in the ICC, it talks about both teaching, non-teaching, and students. So the dynamics can be between any stakeholders. It can be between two employees. It can be between teaching staff and a student. It can be between two students. It can be between two non-teaching staffs. It can be between a non-teaching and teaching staff, non-teaching staff, students. So all permutation combination comes under this. And there can be a threatening of an non-employment, a non-training, or a non teaching staff being threatened by a teaching staff about their employment, anything, anywhere where we feel that there is gender dynamics, or there is power dynamics, there is hierarchy. We tend to see that such kind of sexual harassment, some kind of violence does play a role. So it interferes with work, and or it's intimidating or offensive, hostile work, like, not talking to them, avoiding them, not giving them opportunities, equal access to opportunity because they have denied certain things, or insulting them, which starts affecting mental health of people. So a lot of things comes under harassment. So watching out on how am I behaving, because a lot of times what happens is that, how do I create, a lot of times we create a space that we keep focusing on the victim, that who is a potential victim, and giving them the all kind of information that how will they avoid a sexual harassment. But how do we turn the coin when we say that we need to approach sexual harassment in such a way, when it comes to the next question or next statement, that who can be a victim? Anyone can be a victim. And who can be a perpetrator? It also can be anyone. So if we approach the internal complaint, the ICC looks at that anyone can actually be a perpetrator, someone who can harass, then their approach to it will be uh, more open and more opaque and more transparent. Uh, so, yeah. So over here, the next thing which comes to it, what are certain biases which comes to sexual harassment, and what do we understand? Now the first thing is that we blame the aggrieved, the person who has been victimized. You might have done something wrong. What were you wearing? What are certain things, we told you not to do this, this happens, or you stop them from getting access. Okay, stop going to school, or stop going to this tuition, or stop wearing this, or stop wearing that. And we start blaming them, because that is how our entire brain has been tuned, that because somebody did something and that is why they have attracted it. We have these uh, open and such kind of complaints, that if you leave a toffee unopened, or a sweet thing unopened, the flies and mosquitoes will sit on it, and that's why you should cover the sweet. And that is how girls or people who are sexually harassed are always told, made to feel that it must be something about you, because of which this would have happened. But when it comes to human beings, there is a difference between flies and human beings, right? Flies might just operate out of basic instincts, but humans are social beings. And so using things that a person who has created, who is a perpetrator, uh, and so looking at any issue as a perpetrator becomes very important, that why would that person would have done. So first is trusting. How do you overcome the first, when somebody approaches you, saying that they feel sexually violated or some kind of thing? The first thing is trust, as a first step for creating a safe space. The second is the biases of character analysis of the aggrieved. This person has a tendency like that, or a person like this, oh, because she is like this, or he is like this, because of which this would have happened. She goes out late in the night, because of which this happens. So analyzing a person's character, saying that, you know because of this something like that would have happened, and we do not want to take complaint of this person. No, I think the in order to avoid this bias, the first step is, um, now the second step is that we should not be character analyzing anybody's, because when we say that anyone can be a victim, it means anyone can be a victim. And we are no one. The law should not discriminate, or the act should not discriminate against that. So making everybody feel of being able to approach. Now, the third is the asking aggrieved that such things happen, one needs to adjust, avoid, or is something also happens whenever, if a child or a student has gone back home, or and shared that something like this happened. A lot of times we keep preparing girls, for example, who are harassed. Oh, you need to adjust, this happens to girls, you need to accept it, you need to become stronger, or you need to learn self defense, all the time. Something like that is taught, so that you feel, how do we avoid it? So that is something which is very difficult, and we should be able to be aware of this bias. The fourth one is fear of things which will follow once complaint becomes official. What will happen to the college's reputation? What will happen to the child's reputation? What will happen to the employee's reputation? The fear of it, the assumption of the fear of it, leads us to at times feel very scared of not getting into, or trying to sort out things within ourselves. Okay, let's do that. I think that also becomes very detrimental to the victim, and also feeds into the perpetrator, that I can do anything, because people will not do, because they are scared. And that is how most of the violence also happens. A lot of interpersonal violence happen because we are scared of raising complaint, because the after process is always made to look very difficult. A lot of times sexual violence happens and nobody raises a complaint because you feel um, there will be uh, people who will malign my character, who will insult, or who will talk behind my back, or they will analyze it. So that is something which we have to become very open, that one who complains or who's the victims, more than that person's character being analyzed, the person who has committed the the action has their character has to be analyzed, their character or their personality or their side has to be analyzed more. And the fifth component over here is, a lot of times we realize that when Rubru has started doing intensive workshops, that a lot of people come up with, oh, I never realized I was being sexually harassed. I never realized that this was happening, because we do not know. There's lack of awareness to what can be and what cannot be sexual harassment. At times we feel it is okay that this happens. If you are in a relationship with a person and you feel it is okay, this happens in a relationship, no. If it is making you feel uncomfortable, if it does not make you feel that this is something is right, it will be wrong. And that is correct. It's correct if you're not feeling. So a lot of times we are not able to understand these dynamics of when one is being sexually violated, when something wrong is happening to them. So as a college, as an institution, we need to keep putting up these things in posters or writing it out, that so and so things come under sexual harassment, and anyone can be. So I think mentioning this in college, mentioning that anyone and anyone can become part of this is very important. So I think with that first question, I tried answering this, that how do we address these biases. One is creating an environment of trust. One is to create an environment that one person is safe to approach. One is to make the processes easier, that or having a secret box in a college where someone has felt violated can come, drop in a box, be anonymous, and raise a complaint if they are feeling threatened. um, Anonymity, or having initially to have counselors in place, or someone, the first person who you can go and approach, that person's personality also needs to be very non-biased. They should be approachable. They should make other people feel safe, and should have a lot of openness to hearing somebody out of that, yes, it has happened, and to acknowledge. I think that becomes a very important thing. And to um, so and keeping the process of complaint and inquiry neat and clear and easy and simple, that how one person can complain a file when they are asked to. So I think and again it becomes important that how the committee, and if the committee is not getting any information, or is not able to get any complaint, it means that the committee also needs to regularly create gender sensitization workshops, gender sensitization activities, um, keep on doing safety audits in the college, saying that okay, which all places in the college do you feel safe. uh, Keep on doing some surveys, that in the last 3 months, how have you felt in the college. Have you been feeling safe, unsafe? So regularly doing some kind of surveys. which would, and keeping these surveys anonymous, I think would be important. And doing safety audits, like all stakeholders walking through the college or the institution premise, and uh, marking out place which are safe, not safe. That also helps in identifying places where people are constantly bullied. It can be near staircase, it can be near a canteen, or marking out some places where which does not have enough light. And that so these are certain ways in which we can start creating, um, you know like start creating the institution in such a way that it's an obvious board which is there, and that board's work is to keep ensuring that we are determined to create safety. We are determined to create that everybody in the institution should feel safe and it is approachable. So how do we start building those processes will become important. And I over here, that is where I would like to uh, stop and pause. Yeah, thank you.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
The session is over, ma'am. Sure.
uh, yeah, like, is
Yeah.
there any questions or?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, some questions came to me.
Yeah.
Uh, can a person other than women be victim of sexual harassment at workplace?
That's a very important question. So, when I mentioned in this, yes, anyone can be a victim. Currently, the law, or the currently the act only mentions women's safety, but I feel anyone can be sexually violated.
Okay. And one more question, ma'am. Will sexual harassment committed at college, any event outside the college hours, is considered as a sexual harassment at workplace?
So this is if the committee, if you were out doing a college
Hmm.
activity, if you are out on an excursion or a meeting or something like that, and the purpose is the college, then it comes under the college responsibility. But if there are incidents of it's not like a, if there is a student who says, oh, we are not in college, but that behavior is persisting everywhere, they can definitely, and incidents of that has happened in the campus and it's continuing outside. Definitely the internal committee can should be informed, and
Okay.
along with filing a case with the local police, if you would want to, or at a bharosa center, or at a women help, or anywhere.
From student side, how
Hmm.
to build a confidence in making a complaint?
Yeah.
So we have to make awareness on that.
Yes. So one is to definitely have a lot of awareness about and knowing that the ICC is for you. It is not for anybody
Yes,
else, but
yes.
it is for you. It is very important to know that. It is made for each and every person in the institution. So, because it is for students, faculty, and the non teaching staff, so it basically includes everybody. Now, in order to feel confident, I think the first thing is to know that you are not responsible for what has happened. You might, even if it was in a personal relationship, or the fear, is so again, it's so we need to have two side. One is to self feel that you are not responsible and you need to raise a complaint. Another thing is that the ICC itself also needs to make it feel very approachable by doing regular surveys, by doing regular assessments, by doing creating a space where person can feel trust, and whatever happens in conversation is also the that principle of confidentiality is really maintained. So the trust also of the to the ICC has to be quite high.
Yeah, one more question, ma'am. In POSH Act, what are the actually the document should contain, ma'am? It's a prevention of sexual harassment documentation.
Hmm.
So what should be the documentation should contain under the POSH Act?
Under the I'll just confirm
That is
that.
prevention of sexual. Okay,
Yes,
okay.
yes. I'll just confirm that.
Yeah, it's okay. Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Now I request Jyoti madam, faculty from the Telugu department PG for vote of thanks. Over to ma'am.
So the first thing is actually one is definitely the letter. A written complaint has to be lodged. That's the first thing. And if
Okay.
yeah,
Letter.
yeah.
Okay.
So a letter, yes, letter because it cannot once counseling or something a person has approached, that
Yeah.
I have gone through something like this has been expressed. In order to make the complaint official, a letter has to be a letter has to be written.
Okay. So it should contain only the procedure of how the complaint from any person. Only the documentation should contain only the complaint procedures, isn't it? The POSH Act documentation.
Yes, it should talk about the
Yeah.
entire process. What is the step one, step two, step three, and step four.
Yeah. Okay. So the only the procedure documentation. Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am.
And who all are there in the committee, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Now I vote to Jyoti, ma'am, for the vote of thanks.
ఆ, మాకు ఐసీసీ దానిలో మీకు ఏ విధంగా మేము చెయ్యాలి, సెక్సువల్ హరాస్మెంట్స్ ఇన్ ఉమెన్స్ కి ఎట్లా ఉంటుంది, చిల్డ్రన్ ఎట్లా ఉంటుంది, అదంతా మేము చాలా బాగా చెప్పారు మేడం మీరు. మీకు మొదట ధన్యవాదాలు. తర్వాత మా చీఫ్ ప్యాటర్న్స్ గా ఉన్నటువంటి సెక్రటరీ గారికి ప్రకాష్ రెడ్డి గారు, కరెస్పాండెంట్ గౌతమి మేడం అండ్ ప్రిన్సిపల్ రాజలింగం గారు, అవర్ డైరెక్టర్ గోపీకృష్ణ సార్ అండ్ వైస్ ప్రిన్సిపల్ పద్మ మేడం, మా మెంబర్స్ ఐసీసీ మెంబర్స్ అందరికీ కూడా ధన్యవాదాలు. నేహా మేడం, మీరు చెప్పినటువంటి ప్రోగ్రామ్ మాకు వెబినార్ లో కాకుండా మా కాలేజ్ కి ఒకసారి మా స్టూడెంట్స్ వచ్చిన తర్వాత అందరు మేము ఒకసారి మేము ఇన్వైట్ చేస్తాము. మీరు ఇంకా మా స్టూడెంట్స్ కూడా మీరు ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ ఇస్తే చాలా బాగుంటుందని మేము ఆశిస్తున్నాము. మీ వెబినార్ లో మేము చాలా విషయాలు తెలుసుకున్నాం మేడం. మీకు ధన్యవాదాలు మేడం. థ్యాంక్ యూ మేడం.
Thank you so much.
1 second, ma'am. Now I request all the faculty members, please switch on the cameras for photo, and then you can, after the photo session, Neha ma'am, please switch off your video also.
Yeah, we only know.
మేడం వీడియో ఆఫ్ చేయాలా అంతే
Hello.
Hello, Neha ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for giving a valuable time for this session. And we are expecting some awareness programs and workshops in future, ma'am.
Definitely, we would be more than happy to support.
Thank
Yeah.
you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
A very partner to Rubaru, and we are really happy to support.